Hello, everybody. We are excited to have with us today Bjorn Riley. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
And
I'm excited to be here.
we're super excited. He's zooming in 9 p.m. right now from Spain. So thank you for hanging with us that late. Did you train today, I imagine, probably?
I did. Yep.
What was on the Training Peaks calendar?
Just easy 3 hour ride, like some
Nice.
nice endurance. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. So as our listeners know, we like to jump it off with the two truths and a lie. So I will let you break those down for us.
All right. So I've I guess, yeah, three things.
Yeah.
One of them is I love swimming in the ocean. I
Okay.
think, yeah, it's a beautiful area. The other one is I've never broken a bone. And the next one is whenever it got muddy when I was a kid in cyclocross races, I would quit because I didn't like the mud.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so
Yeah.
these are really good. These are all like
Are
very
they?
believable.
All right, that's good. That's good. Because I
Yeah.
was curious, me saying them, I was gonna be like, oh, they're gonna see through the lies.
Yeah.
But I think yeah, maybe I did well, better than I thought.
Yeah. I wonder about the broken bone thing. I didn't see, I don't think I recall any like casted arms or anything like that in my research here. But I do know you did like BMX and stuff like that when you were, do you still do
Yeah.
BMX?
Yeah. Well, not as much anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
training now I think is so busy, but
Yeah.
I love going to the skate park.
Yeah.
My favorite thing.
Like
Yeah.
that's a good place to break a bone, maybe.
A really good place to break a bone.
I think I might go with that one that you have in fact broken a bone. What do you think,
Okay.
Amanda?
I'm gonna go with the same. I feel like it might be hard to go
Yeah.
BMX unscathed.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
will say the skate park's a dangerous area. It is a
Yes.
dangerous area.
Okay. Well, don't tell us the answer. We will
I will not.
reveal it at the end of the episode, and if there's any fun stories that come with any of those truths or lies. But first, why don't you take us back a little bit and share with us what got you into cycling and on the bike? Like, were your parents into sports or family members?
Yeah, I mean, I come from Boulder, Colorado, and I feel like maybe you guys know Boulder, but it's like a very athletic area. And since I was a kid, my parents they I really liked sweets, like a normal
Mhm.
child did. So the way I would get my sweets is if I did like some athletic thing.
Nice.
Um, so I was always outside, and when I was younger, it wasn't all mountain biking. It was a lot of Nordic skiing,
Mm,
running, hiking, a lot of climbing too. Um,
nice.
but then the older I got, I think the more we started biking and the more like I noticed there's a lot of freedom in it.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I kind of I feel like fell in love with cycling through a small little like club called Simba in
Mm,
Boulder, and it's really just a place you can drop your kid off for the day when you go to work, and they kind of just I feel like the best way of describing it is going on their own adventure in the woods. You'll bring your bike, but half the time you're just going to be like tromping through the rivers, building dams, or all this like, fun stuff that kids like doing out in
yeah.
nature. And then, yeah, it kind of just got a little more cycling based, I guess, the
Hmm.
older I got. And then we had this thing called the CU Short Track Series.
Mm,
In Boulder, and it was all every Wednesday night in the summer. And after we would start at like 8 p.m. or 8 a.m. in the morning. We'd ride all day. Then at the end of the thing, we would go race the short track at like 3 p.m. And that's where I really started like racing and finding that it was a super fun thing to do.
nice.
And then after that, kind of just each year, got more and more, started traveling like outside Colorado. And then I found myself living in Europe. So
Wow.
yeah.
Nice. All
Yeah,
right. Do you still reward yourself with candy?
not as much. I should though,
Yeah.
because it's weird. Maybe it's maturity, which I'm happy to say I feel like I'm a little more mature than I was when I was 10. But I think now I go more for a nice like piece of chocolate. like a nice
Mm-hmm.
85% cocoa bar. That one's
Oh,
good. Um, but maybe when I'm really cracked after a ride, some Haribo tastes really good. Yeah,
nice, nice.
yeah.
Fun fact about the dark chocolate. I was just in a seminar on recovery and they were talking about polyphenols, and dark chocolate is one of the like richer sources. I'm sure you're familiar with like tart cherry juice being
Hmm.
used as like a recovery tactic and
Yeah.
cycling. And they looked at like dark chocolate as another source, and it's one of the very rich sources too that they'll use for recovery for
Wow.
athletes too. So it might be why your body's craving that. So you're on to
Yeah,
something.
that's so maybe it's something with the protein shake you have after the ride. You have like a few like rows of cocoa. That sounds
Yeah,
good.
real cacao or something like that. Yeah, true cacao powder.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, kind of starting in the kind of more like Simba situation of your biking, right? And then evolving that. How has your kind of, I guess, thoughts around nutrition, hydration in preparation for training or racing evolved over time?
Um, yeah, I think it's evolved a lot, especially in the past 3 years. I
Hmm.
think when I was kind of younger, racing, kind of juniors and stuff like that, I was pretty relaxed with what I was doing. The
Hmm.
only thing I would really or prepare would be like my pre-race meal. And
Mm.
it's pretty much actually kept been the same thing throughout my career. But I always would go with like, pure just rice with some honey or something or some
Nice.
Nutella on it, just to
Yeah.
get like the main like simple sugars and all that
Hmm.
in me. Um, but I think, yeah, it really started evolving 3 years ago when I moved over to Europe, and I got a lot more, I guess, knowledge from my team coach on
Hmm.
what I should be doing during training and all that, and also from my peers.
Hmm.
So I think, yeah, I started carb loading more for training 3 years ago, and then 2 years ago, it just skyrocketed with the protein and all that.
Mm.
I remember we were in we were in West Virginia for a World Cup, and it was right after I won my first national championship race. And we were there, and I was feeling like really tired all the time.
Mm.
And I don't know, just I wasn't myself. And my team coach was like, "Oh, how much protein are you taking in?" And then right then we started just doing like 35 grams of protein per meal and trying to do like the 2 grams of protein per kilo.
Hmm.
Um, and then I got my first ever like World Cup podium that weekend.
Nice.
And ever
Oh my
since then,
gosh.
I was like, I mean, that's even though it was for sure not the reason I did that, I
Yeah.
was like, that's the reason I got the podium. So ever
Nice.
since then, I've been like really, really adamant on like a high protein diet. And
Hmm.
especially in the off season, because I feel like that's when you lose some muscle mass.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'd say like, yeah, it really started evolving 3 years ago. Yeah.
Mm. That's awesome. Did you feel like you noticed a change in how you recovered from training when you increased your protein?
Yeah, for sure. I think I notice I think for the most part I have just a little more snap
Mm.
in my intervals. Like when I'm
Hmm.
not doing that much protein, I kind of feel a little more sluggish.
Hmm.
But that also goes with carbs. Like the more carbs I have, and also I was trying out some ketones and like
Mm.
MCT oil and all those things. And I think find the right balance with all those things just makes your training so much more efficient. Like
Yeah.
it's insane the difference between like 40 grams of carbs per hour compared to like 90.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about ketones. I want to know what were you in MCT oil? How were you
Mm.
using that? And did you feel any benefit from it?
All right. So sadly, I will say I think I was using it wrong.
Okay.
Um,
We all live
but
and learn.
yeah, we all live and learn. But I still feel like it was good and bad at the same time.
Mm.
I worked with like I think it's HVMN
Mm. Hmm.
for a little bit. So I just got the opportunity to try it, and
Hmm.
I was using it before my rides in the morning
Mm.
because
Hmm.
my thought was if I take that before my ride, it's going to be burning a lot more fat than it's going to be
Mm.
burning carbs. But
Hmm.
once I learned a little more about it, I feel like it's better to use it after the ride for recovery, obviously.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, I would say I felt better, but I think it was probably a little placebo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, but now I would say I really want to go back to using ketones, and I did the same with MCT oil, kind of same
Hmm.
procedure, but I think
Hmm.
now I would really like to go back and try it again, but use it as more of a recovery method.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
with long endurance training, you burn so much, it's impossible to really like fully recover before the next day.
Right. Do you notice any like cognitive benefits when you use it?
That's a really good question. I don't think I noticed it,
Hmm.
but maybe it was something I feel like once you know that maybe it improves cognitive like thinking or
Hmm.
all that, maybe I'll think about it more. But in those moments, I don't think maybe I was a little more clear-headed, but I don't think I noticed
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Okay. That is one of
Yeah,
the like reports I've heard from like athletes and clients when they use it during sport, like a really long
yeah,
endurance event, right? Towards the end, the cognitive benefit. But yeah, the literature on the during use, kind of like you were saying, is like it's not, we haven't seen any exact
yeah,
performance benefits, but recovery, yes. Yeah.
yeah. Because what I think using it before you go ride might actually not be that good because I feel like you're not going to want to eat as much and
Hmm.
then you might tap more into your proteins. Because I remember that year was the year I think I got sick or something.
Mm,
And then I was going back into training, but something just was not working. Like I was just feeling horrible on the bike, feeling like I didn't have enough snap. And then
mm,
like 5 days before Worlds, we did like some BIA measurements
mm,
or
hmm.
and we noticed that I had like lost 2 kilos of muscle. And
Oh,
we didn't
wow.
understand why it was, but then I think, and it could be wrong, but I kind of think it was me using the ketones because I would take the ketones, not notice I was hungry, and then it would just be
Yeah.
burning my muscles instead of burning the car. Or I just
Right.
needed to eat. Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. How did they measure your body mass, like or your composition?
mm, to be honest, I don't even know what the machine is, but with my old team and with my coach now that I use, he has just this like big machine. You put the electrodes on your
Mm,
right
hmm.
hand and then, on your foot, and then you
Yep.
just beep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's a BIA, a bioelectrical impedance
Yeah.
analysis. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, those can be,
Yeah.
I don't, they probably shared this with you, but those can be highly affected by hydration status in the body too. So if you're
Yeah.
dehydrated, it'll show a drop in your lean muscle tissue. And if you're hydrated, it could show an increase in your lean muscle tissue. Like,
I didn't know
yeah.
about that. We'd always go through, like the graphs, like he'd have all the
Hmm.
things down and how much water I had and all that. And it was super interesting. I feel like
Yeah.
that would be a pretty cool thing to just have for every morning.
Yeah,
But
yeah, to do a BIA. They
yeah.
have like those, they're getting a little more intricate with like the home scales where you like stand on them and there's little handles you like pull up. And it's the same
Uh-huh.
concept. It's sending an electrical signal like up the foot, across your trunk and out your
Yeah.
arm. Yeah, they can be real,
Huh.
somewhat accurate too. So interesting, yeah, interesting stuff out there. Okay, so you have your rice and honey pre-training and racing, or just that's race day specific?
Just race day. I feel like I've had actually a decent amount of people ask me what they should take before their interval days. And
Mm,
I mean, I think everyone's different, but for
yeah.
me, I think keeping it as normal as possible, just besides race days, is really
Hmm.
important. Like
Yeah.
by the end of the season, the rice and Nutella or honey is just like, I don't know, I'm on the verge. Like last year, I started putting eggs on top,
Oh yeah. Hmm.
because I needed something different, and the
Yeah.
eggs really made the consistency a little better. Um, but yeah, for training, I kind of I do whatever. Like sometimes it's hash browns, sometimes eggs
Hmm.
with toast or muesli. It's yeah,
Nice.
pretty
Awesome.
relaxed. Yeah.
And for our listeners too, so they know, get an idea, what is the duration you're out on course for typically when you race?
Around now it's an hour and a half.
Okay.
Before it was hour 15, but yeah, in the new category, which is elite, it's an hour 30.
Are you changing your fueling routine at all, going from the U23 to the elite?
I wouldn't really say so. I think I have it pretty dialed. I usually stick to like I carbo load the night before with a
Hmm.
lot of liquid carbs. And then
Hmm.
in the race, I do like a 50-50 ratio of glucose to fructose.
Hmm.
And I do around 90 grams an hour.
Nice.
And then some, like I think 375 grams of caffeine.
Wow.
So
Nice.
between all that, I'm absolutely flying by then.
Yeah.
And if I'm not, there's nothing I can do about it. I'm
Yeah.
destroyed.
So
So yeah.
375 milligrams of caffeine. Do you break that up or is that all in one shot?
Oh no, so I break it up. I have
Okay.
yeah, I always have like two 200 milligram ones, and
Hmm.
typically I'd say I pour like, yeah, 3/4 of one into
Hmm.
one start bottle, and
Hmm.
then the next one would be like after the first lap. Because what's interesting for me is a lot of people take their first one, like 45 minutes before the race. But
Hmm.
for me, my I can't control my heart rate enough on the
Oh,
start line. So I
yeah.
prefer to take it like 25 minutes before. So it
Hmm.
only kicks like 5 minutes into the race where I'm
Yep.
already zoned in and I don't feel the
Hmm.
caffeine come on. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you get like anxious like at the start line too at all or?
I'd say not with the caffeine. When I don't
Yeah.
have caffeine, I'm not. But if I have caffeine 45 minutes before,
Yeah.
there was only one time I think where I didn't feel like too anxious. Because all
Mm.
the other times, yeah, I just can't control my heart rate the way I want it to
Yeah.
be, and yeah, it's just no,
Yeah.
not the way I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah. That makes sense. And so you said kind of one-to-one glucose to fructose. Is this it like in a bottle mix? Do you do gels, chews? Like what goes down the best for
Um,
you?
yeah, I do. I just do kind of bottle mix, like just
Hmm.
powder.
Yeah.
I like keeping it to just the same thing every single race. I think for endurance training, I prefer to keep it more to like what would it be like a 1 to 8 ratio of
Mm-hmm.
glucose to fructose,
Mm-hmm.
so it's just
Hmm.
not as much sugar. But
Yep.
for the races, I feel like I just need to have a lot of sugar in my system.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like what about salt? Do you include any sodium or is there some in the products you use?
So what's really interesting is I don't, but I should, because in my training, especially when it's super hot, like we were just in South Africa for 3 weeks,
Mm,
I obviously used a lot of salt.
yeah.
And we have these like small salt pills. I don't know how many milligrams there are or I think it's maybe 1 gram, but
Mm,
those were really good. Like you could feel your body kind of recover more when you had that.
yeah.
What's interesting is, yeah, I don't use it in races, but I'm
Hmm.
really curious if it would help for that hour and a half because I feel like, yeah, I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on that.
Yeah.
Would it help you think in that hour and a half of racing?
That's a good question. The literature on the sodium recommendations is evolving. And the latest I've been seeing is it depends on your fluid losses and your sodium losses, right? The body's super
Hmm.
smart at keeping your blood sodium levels in a healthy place. And so for an hour and a half event, you might not need any salt.
Yeah.
You might be okay without it. I would look into like GI absorption if that's ever an issue or if there
Hmm.
is the muscle cramping, but you should be fine like hyperhydrating or doing some extra salts like the night before or the
Yeah.
morning of or something like that for that duration would be my
Yeah.
guess. I mean, I don't know your sweat rate and all that stuff, but that's kind of what
Yeah.
the literature is leaning towards is like unless you're going for like an endurance session, right? You're out
Yeah.
there for 3 or more hours, then yeah, maybe you need some salt in there.
Yeah, I think for the long endurance, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I'm curious to see what it would if it would work with XC. But I will say I feel like you guys might know this, but one fun fact is if you have tattoos, you sweat a lot higher salt content.
Yes.
So, and I have some, so I feel like in general, I already sweat a higher salt content than the
Yeah.
average person. So I
Yeah.
do need more salt.
That is interesting. I was just looking that up for another. We had I don't know if you know John Collinson. He's also he's
Yeah,
Utah.
he's
Uh
really cool though. His
yeah.
workout routines are awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And he asked me that question, I think, at the end of the episode. And so I remember hearing that in one of my like nutrition seminars I attended or conferences. And so I was trying to find this study and it was interesting because I think it was saying like it was more so though like on newer tattoos and then I
Mm,
thought there was a difference if it was black ink versus colored ink too. There might be a difference.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I what I've heard is because I spoke to Alan Lim from
Mm-hmm.
Scratch Labs, and
Yeah.
he was telling me like just don't get really large blocks of ink
Yeah.
because if you do finer lines, yeah, it's less pores, but when you do a
Mm-hmm.
lot of pores, then it really gets
Yeah.
tough. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Because
interesting.
Yeah, John was saying he basically feels like he sweats more, but I think because he as like the more tattoos he gets, he feels like he's sweating more.
Yeah,
But I also think there's a fitness component to that, right? The more fit you become,
true.
the more efficient you get at sweating sooner and more often.
Yeah,
So yeah. Do you have a lot of
good
big
point.
blocks? I
No,
kind
not
of
really. It's more like I have a lot of just kind
okay.
of patchwork
Yeah.
stuff because I've
Okay.
also kept to Alan told me that like 3 years ago.
Yes,
And ever
stuck
since then
ingrained.
I have like it's my whole body's just like more lines. I'm like, I
Yeah,
won't do any big blocks until
there you
I'm like
go.
retired.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. That's smart. Okay, so we talked about the during. What is your post recovery routine?
Oh, I mean, it depends on what race. I will say we do have the short track now, so that's like a
Mhm.
20 to 25 minute, like all out effort. It's super,
Yeah.
super hard. And I'd say always right after the race or even training, I immediately have a like 35 grams of protein
Mm.
shake.
Nice.
But then it also depends on, I'd say in training, when I come home, I actually keep to like a lower carb drink, but high
Hmm.
protein. But
Hmm.
then for races, I keep to a super high carb and super high protein one.
Nice.
The reason being is I think right after a race, I feel like I've pushed so hard, I don't really want to eat a lot of
Hmm.
stuff, so it hurts my stomach more. But after training, I like doing like, yeah, a lot of protein, and then I make my meal 30 minutes later, and I have like not because you have to drink so many liquid carbs. Like having something that's solid and not like a
Yeah.
gel or a bar is so nice.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That's
yeah,
great.
but I think I keep it pretty relaxed for all that. Like in all the races, it kind of just if there was curry for that night, then we have curry. If it was something else, we have that. But I will say I probably still keep to a lower fiber
Hmm.
diet after a race and before.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
just for our listeners to kind of hear that again. So you do a recovery shake right away, and then within 30
Mhm.
minutes, you're already eating a meal.
Yeah, for the most part. Yet again, there's some days I'm really cracked and I like go take a shower and then I'm in bed for like an hour and a half. And then it's already like 6 p.m. So I just
Yeah.
have dinner.
Yeah. But I think that's really important for listeners to hear too, because that like right away recovery is so crucial. And I think a lot of
Hmm.
people just skip that part. And like you're saying, do the shower, maybe stretch, and then it's like an hour's gone by, and then they're
Yeah.
starting to do some nutrition. It's like you can kind of miss the mark from a glycogen replenishment window,
Yeah.
depending on when your next training session is. But so yeah, I think that is good. Do you have a target of carbs that you try and get in? I know you said more carbs and more protein post a race, but is there a number you're trying to get? And is that a shake like form or what is that?
Yeah. Like for racing, I'd say I try getting around 90. I
Hmm.
feel like that's a good number where my stomach doesn't hurt, but
Yeah.
I'm also like, I'm almost, I'm a little hungry by the end of the race, but it's
Hmm.
not making me slower. Like I still
Hmm.
feel like I have some good snap. And then usually I have 105 gram 1-to-1 ratio glucose to fructose the night before too, right after
Oh, nice.
dinner.
Hmm.
Just to really top off all my levels. And then I'd
Hmm.
say for training, it's kind of up in the air and depends how I'm feeling. But most of the time, I always start the first 2 hours are 105 grams per hour.
Wow.
And then it usually goes a little lower just because my first two bottles, I can put all the powder in when I'm at home. And then
Hmm.
sometimes I even bring a little like pouch of powder with me so I can pour it in my bottles once I refill. But
Yeah.
I'd say it probably drops to like 80 or 90 grams of carbs for the last whatever hours I have.
That's great.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any like issues with like GI stuff, like burping, nausea, like vomiting, any of that stuff
Um,
going on?
I've had I've had some vomiting. Um, Not from intervals, but just
Mm.
like I've had it where, you get to a grocery store, you get like a 1.5 liter of water, but you
Oh.
don't want to throw away the water. So I just chugged the whole thing. And then like I had one where it's like probably 2 months ago, I'm just riding and I'm like suffering so much because my stomach is so full. And then I
Mm.
just decide I'm just gonna puke while riding and I just
Yeah.
like puke all the water out and I'm good. But other than that, I'd say it's almost my like thing where I'm like, don't want to waste it. So I'm like, I just
Yeah.
have to finish it. And I'm
Hmm.
like, it's gonna be good for me. It's gonna help.
Yeah.
Like the more I eat, the better it is. And then it's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
technically that's a form of gut training, I guess you could
It is
say.
kind of a form of gut training. I had
Yeah.
like last year we did a really, really big training block in Namibia. And I
Mm.
remember one day, the first hour, I did like 205 grams of carb or
Oh,
something, and my
wow.
stomach was fine.
Oh
So
my
I think
gosh.
like depending, especially if I train my gut, I can go really, really high. But I think
Yeah.
200 or more is that's too much. I think like
Yeah.
140 would be on the high spectrum. And usually
Yeah.
I don't do intense enough training, I think, to burn that.
Hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. Good
Yeah, I was
gut
proud of that
tolerance.
one.
Yeah.
I was proud of that.
So with the like short track stuff, fast 20, 25 minutes, like you're saying, have you tried out any like sodium bicarb before or for
Yeah.
those kind of events?
Yeah. I do bicarb. I
Mm,
started doing that maybe I don't even know when I started doing it, maybe a year and a half ago.
mm,
Um, and to be honest, there's a lot of people I've spoken to that say they really, really feel it and they actually have to limit themselves on the first 20 minutes because
mm.
if they overdo it, they'll feel it after like 45 or something.
Yeah.
Um, for me, I don't really know. Like, I think it works, but
Hmm.
the reason I'm saying that too is my results just start getting better. And once
Mm.
I do something and have a good result, I pretty much do it every race because I'm like, it worked that time. It might have not
Yeah.
even been it, but at least sets me into like the rhythm.
Yeah.
Um, but I think I do feel almost a little bit more like twitchy, like especially
Mm.
my warm up. I kind
Hmm.
of feel more zoned in and like activated
Mm.
in my eyes, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Interesting. And
Yeah.
is this like the Martin bicarb system or what do you use for your
Um,
bicarb?
to be honest, I don't even know which one it is. It's my coach is the German Olympic track coach, so
Mm.
he just gets the same one that they use and gives it
Mm.
to me.
Hmm.
I think
Is it
forget
capsules
because
or?
yeah, it's capsules. One of
Okay.
my friends, she uses the same one.
Hmm.
But it's like orange and white and it
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you have to take
just
a lot of the capsules though, right?
yeah, it's so the first I do 6 2 hours before,
Okay,
and
yeah.
then I do 5 an hour and a half, and then I think I do 5 an hour before.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's a
It
decent
is a
amount.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a method that's been used for like quite a while.
Yeah.
And you don't have any GI issues with that, it sounds like.
Not really. Like, it's always scary at the start. Like, actually, one of my roommates here, she was trying because she has more GI issues with it than I
Mm,
do. And she was testing it here to make sure that she wasn't gonna have to pull over
yeah.
somewhere and sprint to the bathroom.
Oh,
But for the
yeah.
most part, I don't have any issues. I think I've
That's
had a
great.
few where I'm like, I feel a little like I could go to the bathroom, but I'm always, for the most
Yeah.
part, fine. Yet again,
Nice.
those could be my last words. We'll see this year.
Yeah. Yeah, keep trialing it out. Are you ever
Exactly.
doing the sodium bicarb like 2 days in a row?
No, no.
Okay.
Tell me about is that method?
Well, no, I just know like if you had like short track one day and
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
another race the next day, or I don't know if you were doing like really hard training sessions and you want to test it,
Hmm.
but I just know because it is a form of salt, right? And so it can pull in a lot of water also and
Oh
make
yeah.
you feel bloated. So I always am curious if anybody's trying that out and how they feel because I feel like you
Yeah,
wouldn't feel super great, but
yeah, I will say I do drink a lot more water because I remember my coach telling me to just consume some more.
yeah.
But yeah, I've never usually we have short track 2 days before XC.
Mhm. Yeah.
So you have that one day in between and I do feel like maybe I hold a little more water weight, also
Mm.
depending like if it's a colder race, I really notice it. But
Hmm.
for the most part, I haven't like felt like dehydrated or anything after the
Nice.
race. Yeah.
Awesome. Do you, since we're talking about supplements, do you ever use like creatine or beta alanine as well?
So I tried beta alanine, but I actually really do want to start it up again because the first time I stopped doing it because I felt I didn't it was just so many pills. Like the amount of
Yeah.
pills you have to take is
Yeah.
insane for so long. And
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't want to spend the money on it and I was like pretty lazy with it. But I've heard a lot of people do really well off it. And
Mm.
I feel like I wanted to try it again. So I
Yeah.
have tried it, gotta try it again. But creatine, I haven't used. I was thinking about taking it during off season to make
Mhm.
sure that I don't lose any muscle mass.
Yeah.
But after speaking to my coach, he kind of thought if I just keep to 2 grams of protein per
Hmm.
kilo, I should be fine.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, but I do know, doesn't creatine also hold a lot more water
It
mass?
can make you
Yeah.
hold on to water. Yeah, they say there's like responders and non-responders with creatine, the water retention piece.
Hmm.
But when they looked at the users' diets, they were able to differentiate like if you're a vegan versus a vegetarian versus an
Yeah.
omnivore. And the vegans, really aren't getting any creatine because they're not eating any animal protein sources. So when they supplemented with creatine, they saw the
Hmm.
biggest water retention. And then the vegetarians saw a little bit less, and then the omnivores even less so.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
and
that makes sense.
yeah, so it can do that, but they also say if you are retaining water from it, that you actually want to increase your water consumption because it'll help kind of like regulate that and flush it out.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's creatine's an interesting one in the cycling world because there's all the conversation of like the power to weight ratio and are we
Yeah.
adding, weight to the body? Yeah, so I know that's like definitely
Y-
a thought
Yeah,
about thing.
I find it interesting because I think my thought was it's really good because you just get more muscle mass. But I think, yeah, you have to find that right level where it's like you have a lot of muscle mass that you can fuel and
Hmm.
it's good for your weight. But then if you have, or like your, I guess your size, but then
Hmm.
if you have too much muscle mass, especially on the upper body that you're not able to fuel properly, it's like
Right.
might not make sense. But I do know,
Right.
yeah, a lot of cyclists that use it and all of them really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Or maybe not enjoy it, I guess, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it seems
I mean,
like
it
it
certainly
works.
can help with that like quick punchy effort, right?
Yeah.
And I've heard some people will take it and then they like taper off like,
Hmm.
2 weeks before an event or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the beta alanine too, like that's the one that you get like the tingles, or some people do, I
Yeah.
should say.
I really love the tingles. I remember
You
I took the whole amount for the day
Oh my
in one go, and I don't know
God.
why I
Yeah.
really like it. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
That's funny. I had a client ask me that. He's like, "Can't I just take them all in one serving? Because I'm gonna forget to take the second dose." And I was like, "You can try it if you want."
You're
And
like
he's,
have fun itching your
yeah,
skin for the
yeah,
next like 2 hours.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, awesome. Okay, so might implement some beta alanine back this year.
Yes.
With Spain right now, are you up at altitude? Are you guys more kind of sea level, or what do you no
No,
training like?
I feel like you guys might know this place, but I'm in Girona, Spain.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah. And no, this is just it's kind of my home base in the winter.
nice.
So yeah, and it's just really nice. So I'm just here. It's good weather. Yeah.
Amazing. Awesome.
Yeah.
So right now, kind of what's coming up next for you on the race calendar?
Yeah, we have a race in, let's see, not this weekend, but next weekend in
Mhm.
Italy. So we leave on I think the 5th
Okay.
and go down there and race on a Saturday somewhere. And then
Mhm.
it gets super, super busy. Like I think we would do that, go straight to Tuscany, and
Mm.
then we stay in Tuscany for a week and a half ish,
Hmm.
race there. Then we, I think, go to Switzerland for like a week, and then we
Mm.
leave to Brazil. Then
Oh,
we're in Brazil
wow.
for 2 weeks, and then we go to Costa Rica, and
Oh
then
my
Costa
gosh.
Rica to. It gets really, really busy.
Yeah, that is really busy. So you have lots of stamps in
Yeah,
your passport.
yeah, a lot of stamps. It's gonna be interesting to say the least.
Yeah. How
But
do
yeah,
you, like with all that travel, how do you keep your immune system in a good place?
I think I'm still trying to figure that out because
Yeah.
right now, actually, I'm battling something. I have no
Oh, yeah.
clue what it is. It's been like 4 weeks of
Oh,
some like
no.
random stuff going on.
Yeah.
Um, but I'd say I kind of have like a 2 weekish or weekish protocol before I travel. Yet
Hmm.
again, it gets really hard when you're traveling almost every weekend. But I just kind of up my iron. I
Mm.
double the dosage to around like I think it's I gotta remember how much it is. Maybe 250 milligrams of
Mm.
iron a day
Mm.
with like a lot of vitamin C included
Hmm.
with that. And
Hmm.
then I increase my like magnesium dosage, my zinc dosage. I am very much into supplements.
Yeah. You got a stack.
Some people call me the walking pharmacy,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I feel like I something about me, maybe it's I like riding, going home, and I stay at home a lot, and then
Yeah.
I'm not around many people, so I
Yeah.
think maybe my immune system's just weaker.
Mm,
So I think I need to have a pretty structured
yeah.
protocol when I travel, yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of
Yeah.
the like the neti pot salts, those things are so bomb. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, those are
yeah.
good. With I haven't heard of the iron high megadosing like before like that, but I do know that there's a couple strains of probiotics that they looked at in athletes,
Ah,
and I think one of them is called, it's a fun one to say, it's called Bacillus subtilis is one, and if you dose with that like 2 weeks before travel and through travel, that one minimizes the likelihood of like upper respiratory tract infections, so like sinus infections, colds, that kind of stuff. And then
Bacillus subtilis.
Bacillus subtilis. And then there's another one that's more related to like um
Yeah.
gut stuff. So it's, I think that one's called Saccharomyces boulardii. And that one, like if you go to like Costa Rica or somewhere where
Uh-huh.
it's a little bit more like you're unsure maybe about the food and like getting a gut bug or something like that, that one helps with that.
Ooh,
But
maybe I would love if you could send me those over
yeah.
because also South Africa, the water is not great.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they always said the first time you go there, you for sure get like South Africa. I feel like
Oh.
it's like what is it, Bali belly, but you get South
Mm-hmm.
Africa belly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always tough. Like I think I
Yeah.
got it right before I left. So
Mm.
then it's just so
Yeah.
annoying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So keeping all that, I had like this I think it's called health span.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, my friend gave me like 3 weeks worth of it, and I ran out like 1 week before
Oh no.
leaving South Africa. And
Yeah.
just, after I ran out, then it started.
Shoot.
So,
Oh man.
yeah, it would be great if you could send me those. Those
We
sound really
will
interesting.
definitely send those your way. And then talking about the travel too, how do you operate with the time zone shifting? Like, are you good with the jet lag, or do you have a tactic
Oh,
there?
like it's, I feel like I go a lot off my gut pretty much for
Yeah.
like everything I do. I trust my gut a lot more than facts, which sometimes hurts me, to be honest. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'd say for when I fly over to the US, I don't sleep on the plane at all, and I push through the whole day. I usually like landing, going for a
Hmm.
ride. So I kind of set myself in already, and then I
Hmm.
even sometimes push it all the way till midnight. So I
Mm.
fall asleep destroyed, wake up at like 9,
Yeah.
and then I can kind of like slowly push back and wake up a little earlier each day.
Yeah.
Um, when I fly from the US to Europe, try to sleep on the plane for as long as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then for everywhere else, I think Brazil last year, I slept a little bit,
Hmm.
but I don't even remember what the time difference is there.
Yeah.
But like for instance, South Africa, it's 1 hour time difference. So
Oh,
we did an overnight flight. So it's like
yeah.
you sleep maybe 6 hours, seven if you're lucky, and then
Hmm.
you wake up there and it's not that bad.
Nice.
But I will say sometimes, I think you guys know this, but some are worse than others. Like sometimes you just
Yeah.
can't get into the rhythm and it's
Yeah.
so annoying. Yeah.
I've heard that trick a lot. Like when you land, just like get up and go for a ride or
Yeah.
go for a run or move. It seems to be pretty popular with the athletes, like that just like gets them to set up that much faster to the
Yeah.
time
I think
zone.
like getting your blood moving too and stuff, like especially is it the water retention or something
Oh yeah,
when
with
you
flying.
fly? Like
Hmm.
if I don't have compression socks, I have like
Yeah.
the gnarliest cankles ever. It's so funny. So I always have to have like
Yeah.
I have so much like compression boots and then like electro pads going the whole
Oh,
flight,
nice.
and then
Yeah.
I get there and I immediately have to like do some sort of working out to kind of
Mm.
set myself
Hmm.
in.
What electro pads are we talking about? Like you are we talking like Mark Pro or like like it's E-stem kind of
um
thing?
yeah, to be honest, I don't even know. I just know they're Compex, and I think
Okay.
they're E-stem. I think they're
Yeah.
E-stem, but
So it's just
yeah,
like
they just kind of yeah, it's
contracting.
like
Yeah.
yeah, it's like every 5 seconds it's
Hmm.
contracting. And I had a set, they're called Power Dot, that were really good
Oh
where
yeah.
they had the flight mode. So it's
Mm.
like every 30 minutes it would do like a 10-minute cycle. and you could
Nice.
push it all the way to like 7 hours of it and
Yeah.
just leave those on for the whole flight. And then I felt like every time I get off the flight, it's just a little more open and not as
Hmm.
stiff.
Yeah,
Because yeah, I think
that's
when you
nice.
sit down that long, it like pinches the nerves in your hips and the
Yeah.
blood flows. Just no, I don't like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. You got to get up and move, or have the
Yeah, or
power
you
dot stuff.
or first class or
Yeah,
first
there you
class. But
go.
that's a long way away.
Yeah, so you can lay down. Okay, well, I'll be mindful of your time here, so I'm gonna jump back to
Oh, all
our
good.
two truths and a lie. So we had that you love swimming in the ocean, you've never broken a bone, and whenever it got muddy in XC, you would quit. And we thought
Yeah.
you have broken bones. Which one was the lie?
So the lie was it wasn't the mud thing.
Okay.
Um, it wasn't the broken bones. It was the ocean.
Oh, you don't
Yeah.
like the ocean?
I it's I am really scared of fish biting my toes, is really what it comes down to. I don't know what it
Yeah,
is, but everyone giggles, and I thought it would be funny to make fun of myself a little bit.
there you
Um,
go.
Something about them biting my toes really kind of like rubs me the wrong way. The
Yeah.
sharks, I feel like I'm almost more okay with.
Oh,
But
really?
the fish, like the barracudas, like I
Yeah.
remember swimming when I was a kid, seeing those barracudas, and I was
Mm,
so freaked out. And then we swam
mm.
with sharks, and I wasn't. But the barracudas,
Interesting.
oh, they're so scary to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
I
about
don't
like
like, yeah.
rivers and lakes? Is that like that fish are in there? Is that
Like I can
scary?
deal with it's a little better, but it's like, if you can't see the bottom or see
Yeah.
around you, it's not my vibe. Like
Yeah.
you can throw me in the middle of a lake and I will swim to the shore as quickly as possible, like my life depends on it. I try to act relaxed when I'm with
Yeah.
people, but every time you see me swimming, like now you can know I'm swimming for my life.
Yeah. Is that
Yeah, it's
does
not.
this stem from like also like movies?
Uh I don't I don't really know. I don't think so. I feel like it's maybe the thing where I'm not in, like, maybe I just like kind of being in control a little bit. But when
Yeah.
you're in the ocean, you're really like, you can't do much. And I
Right.
just don't, yeah, I don't like that. Like, oh, yeah. Just a fish, coming up and like nibbling on your toe. And then you
Yeah.
have four toes and not five. That's, no,
That's a problem.
horrible.
That's a
Yeah.
problem. Yeah. Yeah. I understand like not being able to see the bottom. I'm like on board with that.
And
I think a
the
little bit
people that
like
can,
yeah,
yeah,
it's wild.
the
Okay.
people that
Well,
can swim there is
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're the surfers. Yeah. It is wild. Okay. Where can people find you, follow you? Oh, I know you have a couple gram
Um,
handles, right?
Yeah, yeah, you can if you want to follow just I guess me, it's Bjorn.Riley, I think, on Instagram. And then if you want to follow, I do a lot of art. So I have like an art account for all of my kind of, I guess, side hustles outside of cycling.
Nice.
But you can just find that in my bio. But other than that, I think you can find more about me on Still Spoke, which is like
Mhm.
kind of a collective of creative athletes, and
Cool.
it's called STILSPOKE.
Okay.
And yeah, wow, that's the first time I've done any of that.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
We did great. You did
yeah.
great. We're
Thank
gonna
you.
link those in the show notes for the listeners so they can go check all that out. And yeah, this
Perfect.
has been super fun. Thank you so much for joining
Yeah, I
us.
appreciate it, guys. Yeah, it's been super fun talking about this.